Hello friends, my name's TheRealEmile and welcome back to Forza 5. In today's video we're going to be carrying on with the iconic sports car championship with a very iconic sports car. We have the Honda NSX-R, a very cool car. I don't know why this isn't in Horizon 2 to be honest, because this is a fantastic car. Look, it even has the full auto vista. Anyway, let us go and find the iconic sports car championship, which is there. And we shall go to Laguna Seca. Just to... Actually, I know why we're doing this. We are doing this because you might remember a while back they had a thing on Top Gear. Well, a very long time ago. Clarkson set a time in Gran Turismo 4 with a Honda NSX. And then he flew out to America to try and beat it in a Acura NSX. Or was it a Honda? I don't remember. Anyway. He did that and he was very slow around the track. And it actually took me a while to sort of... His explanation of it... I'm tripping over my words here. His explanation of it wasn't great. He said, oh, well, it's because you can take corner speed through this more than you can in real life and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, that's all true. But there was one key difference everyone was sort of talking about, and that was the fact that in-game Clarkson was using the Honda NSX-R. At the track, he used a standard NSX. Now, I don't particularly know the huge amount of difference between the NSX and the NSX-R, but I know the NSX-R is definitely lighter. Whether it would have made much of a difference on his time or not, it would have been nice to see, but... that's one of the definitive factors on why he was so slow. Oh, good. But yeah, anyway. Less about that, more about the car. I actually really do quite like the Honda NSX. I think it's a fantastic car. First time I actually drove one of these on Forza 5 was a complete accident. What was happening was... I was doing some online racing, which, spoiler alert, I'm thinking of bringing some online racing to my channel. We'll see later. But I was doing one of my first races. It was like a C-class thing. The first lobby you get is like C-class, no collision. It's the place for all the startup people. And I was stumped for a car to use. I didn't want to use my Honda NSX. Honda NSX. My Honda Civic Type R, because that, again, same problem. I'm just taking too much speed around here. I think I definitely need to be braking some more. Not quite that much, but yeah. Anyway, I didn't want to use my Honda Civic Type R because that was a very quick car, and as much as I love my Civic Type R, I'm gonna say I wanted to give the competition some chance. Nah, my real reason is I just didn't fancy using it again. So I was just looking through my cars. It only gives you, it gives you a little while to pick a car. I think it's a good couple of seconds. And I was just looking for something to use. I found this NSX-R, which was apparently in my garage, so I used it, and it was fantastic handling. So apparently I've built a B-class one. I don't actually remember building this car, but I can tell you one thing: it's absolutely fantabulous to drive this car. I am thinking of doing a thing with this series where if people are really interested, I'm starting to sound like Quipkey out of Big Bang Theory. But if any of you are interested in any of the tunes I use in this series or anything like that, I may start throwing them up on my share place storefront thing. I don't know what it's called in this game. It used to be a storefront back in Forza 4. So if anyone's interested in trying out any of the builds I end up building, feel free. But yeah, this NSX is actually really good. It's a bit tail happy, yes, but it's a mid-engined rear-wheel drive supercar basically. I don't get why it's an iconic sports car. It really should probably be in the Grand Tourers League. It's a very fast thing. Now, the NSX actually does have quite an interesting history. The first one started out in 1992 as sort of a real-world sports car, if you will. So, there were supercars of the time. There was the... Sorry, I have to itch my ear a second. Anyway, there was the Oh, cars like the Lamborghini Diablo, Lamborghini Countach, stuff like that. Cars with really heavy steering, really heavy clutches. They were great once you got moving, but when you were actually, in heavy traffic and whatnot, it wasn't a good time for you. It was not a good experience. So Honda decided to, combine their knowledge of building relatively good road cars with, a supercar body. So they did it, and they made a supercar, and they called it the NSX, and it was very, very good. Ayrton Senna, I believe, was one of the testers for it, and he said it was one of the most fantastical chassis he's ever driven, which is a very big compliment. The problem the NSX had is, well, the badge, unfortunately. I like Hondas, I really do. I think they're fantastic, fantastic cars. But there is an image behind a Honda badge, and many people, look at the NSX and would just discount it instantly over something like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini because of that badge. It's there's a sense of prestige when you buy a supercar. If you go out and buy a Ferrari 458 Italia, for example, you part buy the car because it's an alright looking thing. I don't particularly like it, but a lot of people think it's a fantastic looking car, so it's a fantastic looking car, there you go. And all that, but you also buy it because the Ferrari badge means something. The Ferrari badge has a lot of pedigree behind it. It has a lot of fantastic supercars to its name. Same if you buy an Aston Martin. Many good models, many well-known models. It's all about the badge. But with a Honda, yeah. There's Honda's made very good vehicles, but the point is, you sort of, when you drive around in your NSX, you can't help looking down at that badge and thinking, these are the same people that made the CRX and the Honda Jazz and the Honda Civic. Again, very fantastic vehicles. I love all them cars, but would you really want your supercar to be made by them people? And NSXs were quite cheap, actually, and they just didn't catch on, unfortunately. So unfortunately the model was scrapped in 2005. Oh god, what? I can't remember when I bumped the front of it that badly, but unfortunately the NSX was eventually scrapped and put to rest until recently, where they've actually announced that they're making the new one, the 2015 NSX, which is some form of hybrid-y thing. It looks quite cool. In fact, it looks really good, to be honest. And I can't wait to drive it. Hopefully in Forza 6, we'll be able to take that for a spin, providing Ford don't have any trouble with that with their GT, which again is also... The GT, I don't know whether I like it or not. It's a pretty good looking car, don't get me wrong. But from some angles it looks weird. When I first saw it, I wasn't a huge fan of it. Because we're going to do some autocross with this, actually. I believe it's that good at handling. Sorry. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment. Again, I'm pretty much ill throughout the entirety of winter. And then I get better in spring. So look forward to that. But my voice should probably change by then as well, which will be good. Anyway. I was speaking about something cars. Ford GT, that was it. From some angles it looks good, from some angles I don't particularly like it. I think it's a bit ugly. I don't like the amount they've changed it, to be honest. Yes, I get you couldn't keep the retro styling, forever, but I don't know. The new Ford Raptor doesn't look as good as the old model either, but I can imagine that's going to deliver massively. With the GT, I can imagine it's going to be very nice to drive, but nah, I don't think it looks as good as the old one did. I'm not even that big a fan of the old one, so. But the new NSX does look fantastic. It looks like it's going to be a whole jolly gosh fun to drive. In fact, actually, speaking of good cars to drive, finally, the Civic Type R came out this week, and it's mental. Instead of having 280 horsepower, as we were all told, somewhat unfortunately, it's apparently launched with 306, and that's going through the front wheels. And that's going to be a very fun car to drive, if extremely terrifying. I'm drooling at the mouth for it. Please, Forza, put that in Horizon 2, let me drive it in there, then put it in Forza 6, let me drive it in there. Let me just drive it. 306 horsepower is quite a mad amount. The previous Madman hot hatch, the Focus RS in stock tune, only had 300. I mean, that increased to 345 with the RS 500. Well, that's the point. The Civic Type R might come out with some incredibly awesome bloody special variant that features many horsepowers, and then it'll become all terrifying. We'll have to see what they do to prevent the understeer in a huge, more powerful version of it. But I'm very looking forward to the Civic Type R. I always love the Civic Type Rs. Anyway, speaking of Type Rs, that wraps up our trip in the NSX today. So to round up, fantastic handling, fantastic car, looks fantastic. Everything about it is fantastical, and if you don't have one on Forza 5, I recommend you go and find one, because they're actually really nice vehicles. Even in stock, they're quite good. And they start high C class, which isn't bad for the supercar of this form. You know, you could probably make a really decent A class one to compete with the likes of your Lexus LFAs and your various other box bones. And I might have cocked up Englisher. Anyway, friends, that about wraps us up for today. So I want to thank you very much for watching. My name's been TheRealEmile, and until next time, farewell.